All right, everyone. This is SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with the champ, Tri
Hey.
Bourne and Travis Mewhirter. We're going coast to coast on this one. I'm sitting in my kitchen in rainy Maryland, and Tri is sitting right next to the beautiful Porsche Cup, sitting there with the SANDCAST ball in it. Dude, what's happening? That's a big win.
What up, dude? We did it. Team win.
Team
SANDCAST, we're
win.
on the board.
We're on.
It's
And
our first official win, real win,
yeah.
since we started the SANDCAST.
Yeah, it's about time. Well, I mean, the first year you didn't really play. The first year that we were doing the podcast,
Yeah,
you didn't play. So, the next two, you were just getting warmed up and had to win the finale. Did you actually win a Porsche? I don't even know what the deal with that is. I saw you run up and set the alarms off.
Yeah. So, no, everyone keeps asking that. And,
Okay.
I mean, I knew we didn't win the Porsche, but I figure if I go run up to it and act like I think I'm winning it, then it'll put a little pressure on them to, like, give me one or something,
So the Porsche was
But
just
no, unfortunately. The guy came up after and, like, dangled the keys. He's like, no, you can't have them. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Get
man.
over here.
He had to tease you like that.
Yeah. But, dude, that was a sick car. That would have been insane if I
Wouldn't
won.
have been a
I
bad
drove home in
addition
that thing.
to the garage. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, orange, red Porsche.
Yeah, not that the truck is bad, but adding a free Porsche would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We keep the truck, get rid of Gabby's car. She'd be like the most styling mama driving around.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome though. It had been 5 years since you won an AVP. Like, did you even realize it had been that long? Because it didn't. I mean, you're only 31. It doesn't seem like it had been that long since you had won an AVP.
Yeah, I had thought about it before, so I knew that. But yeah, when I like figured that out, it's like 5 years.
Yeah.
You would have told me back in 2015 when we won that one in Huntington, which is like the first time you watched me play, right?
Yeah.
You
That
say.
was when I just moved there.
Right. Uh, like I thought in my mind, I'm like, they're just starting to roll in, you know what I
Right.
mean? And if you would have told me it'd be 5 years later, I'd be like pissed.
Right.
I'd be like, what the hell happened? But then if I told myself, well, there's this autoimmune disease you got, it was like
Yeah.
basically one in every 10,000 people get it, or even 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Then a global pandemic hits. That kind of hurt your chances too. Be like, all right, I guess that's reasonable.
Yeah. Did it like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you remember what it was like to win in 2015 in Huntington. Like, was it different at all winning, say, in Huntington with packed stadium? Like when you and Hayden were like not peaking, but you guys were one of the best teams in the country. You won half the events that year. And then to this year, whereas 5 years later, you've been through autoimmune disease, you got married, you had a kid, playing with Trev,
Yeah.
playing in front of no crowd.
Yeah, it was definitely different. But, in terms of just the crowd alone, I feel like we just get in the zone. Like when you're just in that zone, you don't really think about what's going on outside. Like sometimes when there's fans, you'll use it to your advantage,
Right.
or sometimes you'll want to block them out. But for this, it was like I just didn't even think about it or consider it. When I realized that it was like weird was when you celebrate that moment. I'm just like, whatever. It's my Porsche. Give me the keys.
Right.
And then I jumped down, and then we're just standing there. I'm like, oh, then what do we do now? There's like no fans, and like there's just a few cameras, and then at that point you're like, whoa, that like usually it's different after at this point.
Right.
You're like bringing in the vibes from the audience, but it wasn't that. I don't know. It wasn't that different. Like I always say, like we play in so many different environments,
Yeah.
being on the world tour and AVP as well. AVP is usually pretty consistent with like we have people watching, and like it's always the most fun to play for AVPs because of that. But I mean, you've been to these other events overseas, like first of all, you're playing early morning rounds, and a lot of people, like most of the time, people aren't watching anyway. So
Right.
I'd say 80% of the matches we play are without a significant amount of fans.
Yeah.
Like at the AVP, we probably had what, I don't know, 40 people watching realistically. But they're like scattered like in the booths and like cameraman, and but we
Yeah.
can hear them talking. So we had people watching, and then you also have like you can see and feel the cameras more, and you know the mics are there, and you know that people can hear you now.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool too. Like you can talk all the way across the stadium, and people are going to hear what you say.
Yeah.
So, like you hear people giggling and laughing when we're all
Right.
like running our mouths and stuff. And I thought it was a cool vibe. It was like we were playing for the TV. Like
Yeah.
our audience was the TV and the microphones instead of the fans in the stands.
Yeah. Did you guys spice up the chatter a little bit because you knew that the mics were hot and that people were loving it?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm not that guy. I know that's not my forte, but I like to dabble in it every once in a while.
Right.
So I definitely, if I was gonna say something, I faced the microphone a little bit. I knew where they were at the bottom of the polls. And we had some fun banter back and forth. It's fun. There's a few guys out there you can talk with now
Yeah.
that can just leave it on the court. You know, it's not personal when you get off. So that kind of makes it like, all right, then this is just a straight up like mental game,
Yeah.
which is how we grew up. Like we talked so much trash growing up. So I kind of felt like I could get back to that, like, you know, little jabs with Taylor back and forth. And
Right.
it was fun.
I say it looked like Trevor and Taylor have kind of turned a corner because there's no shortage of trash talk there. And then, like as soon as you guys won, Taylor was like, all right, boys, the whiskey's waiting. Like, come on home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I think the vibe has changed among us. We've all kind of, when we were young and coming in, I feel like it was a little more like of our egos, like, you don't like seeing the other guys win at all, but now we can like fully battle it out on the court and then be happy for each other when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Obviously the bros, Crabb bros, they took a while to get to that point, but right now they're like best friends again. So that's pretty cool to see. And they still go at each other just as hard on the court.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun actually.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm sure that you and Trevor have been asked about it pretty much nonstop, but Trev guaranteeing the win. Did he tell you he was doing that before he put it up? Because I didn't even see it until Sunday. When Kevin like showed it and he was like, well, Trevor guaranteed a win here. It's like, that's a bold move. Trevor, that's a bold move.
Yeah, it's just the Trevor move. I've learned to love it, to be honest. That's kind of how it is. Like if it was someone else, and if I didn't like know Trevor so well, I'd be like, oh, come on, really? Yeah. We came in as a 6 seed, dude, But I was like, it took me about 5 seconds to be like, all right, I'm embracing this thing. Like I'm going with him for sure.
Yeah.
There's no point in me being like, dude, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, I'm like, I'm fully going in. And I mean, what do you have to lose? The worst comes to worst, people start talking trash to Trevor. Like, oh, I thought you were going to win. And then you're just playing into his game, right?
Right.
Because he loves that banter back and forth. So, I fully embraced that. I was like, I got to for sure, like, repost it and just be like, let him know I'm fully on board.
Yeah.
And let's go slay dragons.
Dude, that's got to be one of the greatest calls. Like people talk about Babe Ruth calling his home run, but Trev guaranteeing a win when you guys have never won together.
Yeah, us
after
never
losing to Phil and Nick and Jake and Tay both weeks in a row. It's like
getting smashed.
All right, Trev, let's see what we got.
That's probably the greatest. I mean, I don't know about the guys back in the day used to talk a lot, but probably the greatest call out ever in our sport.
And you guys made it happen. I'm not gonna lie, when you guys were up maybe 12-11 in the third, and I think you put up Trevor for an option, and you're like, hit it, and then he said it, and it looked like you were kind of caught off guard, and you guys kind of like squandered like a pretty good opportunity to earn one. And Trevor threw his hat. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't throw away chances like that against Phil and Nick. I thought that might have been it, but you guys rallied.
Totally.
Like when you lose opportunities like that to Phil and Nick, like especially like Sunday Phil, after losing to Phil twice in a row, you're like, damn it.
Yeah, no, you're so right. I mean, that thought jumped into my head too, but we were in such a rhythm with each other, and it was like I knew that like right when Trevor, we both throw our hats when we get frustrated, so I know that's like a perfect sign of like we lost our temper.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one who messed up that play too, so right when he threw his hat, I was like, hey, nope, we're good, dude.
Yeah.
We don't care about defense. We just side out. Screw D. Like I fully like was trying to take all the pressure off of us creating points.
Yeah.
Like just be free there, just side out. And that, I think that was that wasn't for a real point, right? I forget.
I forget what it was, but I just know it was late in the third, and you either had the chance to earn one.
So it was an opportunity, but I was like, doesn't matter, who cares? And that's hard for me to say. Like for my partner, when I'm the one who messed up, and then I say, we're over it. Take a breath. We're over it. Doesn't matter. It takes a lot of trust and Trev to be like, yep. Rather than like, what do you mean? Easy for you to say. You just watch that, you know. But he like snapped right back into it. And I stayed right in it. And I just had a feeling. I was like, if we could stay here in this zone, we got a good shot at it.
Yeah. And you did. I mean, when you dig a ball for match point and you're getting set and you're going up against Phil, who I think that's the best I've seen Phil play in a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And even Jake said it's some of the best he's seen him play since like 08, 09 when him and Todd were just running the show.
Yeah.
What do you think about when you're going into side out against Phil, the best blocker, I think, in beach history, who had gotten plenty of blocks at tournament?
Go at him.
Yeah.
No, you know what? First of all, in those moments when you dig it for a match, like for something like you've been working so hard for this thing, and you dig it, like I dug it high too. Like that thing's up there for so long. God, you know, it's even harder to side out is to set that ball.
Oh yeah.
Because like I just have to set this ball
because you know,
and like my partner is gonna side it out. Like but you're just waiting. I remember in the World Tour Finals with Hayden when we won the bronze, he dug the same thing. He scooped it super high in the middle, and I'm just waiting there. And I had to bump set it. I'm like waiting. Like, oh my God, I gotta put this thing perfect. And I just got it to the spot. But that one, I just felt good. I was relaxed. That whole point actually was so like slow motion because, all right, I'm gonna take you back. So in practices, Jose, he likes my jump serve. He knows that's one of our strengths, and he gives me the full green light. And a lot of times, he's like a hype man, So a lot of times at practice, he's talking about it. End of the match, Tri. This is your time to end it. Like match point, go for it. Every scrimmage, go for it, Tri. Green light. So I had the ball in my hands for championship point, back on the line. I'm like, all right. I know I already made the decision.
Yeah.
There's no like, do I go for it? Should I keep it in? I didn't like rip it, but I hit a good serve. And then so that was like, that part was all like slow motion, like walking back to the line where you get to like choose your ball.
Yeah.
It's funny, there's like 4 balls lined up there.
It's funny watching everyone like
pick which one is gonna win me the match. Yeah. And every match I had a different routine. Like I would like pick the same one, like the one on the left.
Yeah.
Or I would pick like the glossiest one, like the newest looking one. on Sunday final, I was going for the nicest looking one every time. Like, but I needed like a routine, or else my brain was like, I don't know which ball to pick. You know? So yeah, I got my glossy ball. I was like, green light, let's go.
Yeah.
Hit a good serve. And then some of my film study with Mike Dodd came into my mind when I was there. I was just like, I did a few little shifts around, and I just was like, no, I'm just gonna stay in this pocket, be ready for his cut, but just sit right in his heat and hit it right to me. Dug it high, and then I was just kind of relaxed and got, my body knew where to go in terms of getting the approach. Waited back, and then I was like, tool fill. That's all I was thinking, because I didn't have great vision. It was a little off the net.
Right.
And obviously, because I hit it towards where Nick was, I didn't see Nick. But I was going to tool Phil off the court to the right, and Phil doing what he does. He's used to me coming in and just ripping it, like trying to get it past him a lot. So he spread open and went a little wide to like house my heat.
Right.
But I went like high hands corner trying to tool him out and off the court. And he actually over committed. He went past where I was swinging, and then it went off the court in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I was like, give me the Porsche. I actually didn't know if we won, because like for a second I like questioned, like there was no confirmation. It was like Trevor was happy, and I was like, yeah, wait, that was match point, right? Like, I had to like look at the scoreboard, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go hit the Porsche.
Dude, that's
but yeah,
that feeling.
that's how I attacked the last one, was like tool fill.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for.
I mean, that's a bold decision to go at the guy who had more blocks than anyone in the tournament. But you told him a lot. It looked like you guys did something a little different than before. We were talking about it before we came on, that you were going a little less 1,000% swings and more like 80% just trying to rip it off of them rather than past him or through him.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys probably saw the other 2 times we played them, where I was bringing a lot of gas, and it's why my back hurts right now. But it's just not really my game. When I play Phil Best, I'm high, low, fast, shot through him at his head. You can't let him dictate what he wants to do. You have to make him like kind of chase you around, and he's still going to get blocks. But I basically just wanted to take him out of the match. Like, I'd rather Nick get a dig and have to transition against us than him just blocking it straight down. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, dude, we worked all week basically to play Jake and Taylor and Phil and Nick.
Yeah.
And then we got a few clutch covers. You probably noticed, like 2 or 3 covers that they're blocks. And if we didn't get those covers, the match probably would have gone the other direction. But it's super demoralizing when you get a block, they cover it and then put it away right away.
The worst.
So we worked on covering. So a few times Trevor used the block pretty well, and I got him covered. And it worked out in our favor. Another thing that I pulled from, though, was a really good friend of mine, Wanchi Figueroa. He is like pound for pound one of the best players I've ever played with indoors. Really? The SC. Okay. He's Puerto Rican. He's like 5'11", maybe, but he had like a 40+ inch vert, and just such a good player. He's starting outside on the Puerto Rican national team, and I've seen him go up against like the biggest Clay Stanley, like the biggest players in the world.
Yeah.
And he just uses the block and like not scared at all. And I was talking to him, and he was texting me, and after watching me play Phil, and he's like, dude, use that block to your advantage. Hit off of him, cover, tool him, So I was kind of mixing that in with like use my shots and my off speed, but then when he is up in my face, use him to my advantage. And that kind of like made it so there's no hesitation. I was like, tool him, like go back to my indoor days. I used to tool the block every play in the indoor.
Right.
So it's funny, like looking back, because I pulled from so many like different lessons that I've learned over the last 6 months, like my sessions with Dodd, Jose from the service line, my buddy Wanchi talking to me about hitting against the big block, and like
Yeah.
it all kind of came together.
Looks that way. It's nice to have the Porsche Cup sitting right next to you too.
Hey, let's go. I had to spice up the SANDCAST set a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. We it's funny, we haven't been back there in a while. It's been a minute since we've had the SANDCAST set going on.
I know. And we might rumor is we might be moving studios.
Oh yeah?
Building a new one. Yeah, we might move. We'll
Upgrade.
See, yeah, upgrade for sure.
Exactly. And you're so now what do we do? Off season's coming up, and like what are your, I mean, have you and Trevor like thought about what to do? Because I mean, there's no tournaments for the foreseeable future, right?
Well, there's King of the Court.
King of the Court, that's right. Okay.
And we got the invite to that. So if they can get us into the country, we're gonna go.
Okay.
Try to be careful with everything going on, but that gives us, extends our season. We don't want to take 6 months off,
Right.
So that's kind of perfect for us. We want something to train for. It's not as much the competition that's the most valuable part. It's like having something to build up to.
A purpose.
A purpose, yeah. We all just want a purpose.
Just want something.
So we have that. Yeah, we have that in September, and then we're kind of gonna create our own training blocks.
Okay.
USA Volleyball actually like came up with like a proposal of like what they think we could do to stay productive and take advantage of this time, and basically like train for 4 weeks, and then we create, or 3 or 4 weeks, and create like some kind of competition at the end.
Okay.
And then take a week off or so, and then do training blocks until like November, and then we can take our normal off season and then get back at it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Because I was listening to Jake, and he said something similar, where he's just going to train for a couple of weeks, take a week off, and he's like, we can't just take 8 months off and then jump into an Olympic race.
Yeah, especially when you're 44, 45.
Right. Yeah. Which age didn't seem to be a problem for Jake, Phil, Nick, April. She's a Terminator. She's like, she's unreal.
I know, it's so confusing. I'm like, why is this, like, the old guys are supposed to be the ones that are struggling and getting worse. And like, Nick comes out in the best shape of his life, and Phil like turns the clocks back like 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Test these guys.
I say, how did your body hold up going from zero competition? Obviously you and Trevor were training, but 3 straight weeks. And I know that it was less matches than normal for an AVP, but still, like, doing AVP matches is way different than just doing like a practice match. It just takes, it's a different kind of toll on your body and your mind.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I felt good throughout. I have my normal stuff, like shoulder was pinching a good amount, a little tendonitis in the knee, and then my back, like I said, after that, the Wilson Cup. But I felt good until like, it's just the back for me. Like everything was just normal aches and pain. Like my body was, I was, in terms of being in shape, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm jumping well, my speed, everything maintained throughout the whole tournament. Like you said, it wasn't that many matches. It was like 4 matches a tournament.
Yeah.
I think we played 12 matches throughout the
series.
The series. But yeah, no, it definitely takes a toll on you. Like, you don't sit here with the cup next to you and just feel good at the end of it. You wake up sore after that.
Yeah.
But health-wise, like with all the health stuff I had been going through, and that's like the main concern for me.
Yeah.
Felt great. Like,
that's awesome.
Felt like the muscle was good and no inflammation, and knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm super grateful for that. I think we talked about that at one point, where it was just like, who cares about winning and losing? I just want to be on the court and
Right.
healthy. And the volleyball usually takes care of itself. So
And
we
it
did
did.
it. Made it through barely, because if you watch a few points there, my lower back locked up. Like I stopped going under the net because I couldn't bend over.
Oh, really? It was that bad?
I couldn't get back up.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I mean, like the adrenaline got me through it,
Right.
but like for sure, yeah, it
Dude,
was
that's
like
nuts.
I dove for one ball. I could see it in one of the replays they had, and my face almost like went into the sand because I couldn't like uh, bend my lower back, so I went like straight over like a downward dog. I had like trouble getting back up, and then I just took like a one-step approach and tooled the block.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone really noticed that. And I mean, everyone's kind of going through something, so it's not rare.
Right.
But so that health-wise, I held up, but my body, like if I had to run it back for this next weekend, I probably would be taking almost the whole week off. Like it'd be like serve and passes
Yeah.
throughout the week because my
Dude,
back's
it like hurts my back to watch Sarah Sponsel diving for balls. I don't know if you got to watch any of her matches.
no.
Like, her
It's so
legs
fun to
pick up
watch, but
over and like she almost kicks herself in the head when she dives.
yeah, those probably won't be working in about 5 years.
Yeah.
But for now, for sure.
Fun while it lasts. The women's was fun in general because we had 3 different finals. We had a different final every week.
Yeah, that's
Which was
true, right?
great. It was just like April and Alex were like, all right, who's next?
Dude, I know, that's insane. They're so good. You know, it's like crazy to think about. I was looking at the men's side. I'm like, we have what, 4 or 5 guys in their 40s that are like top players right now.
Yeah.
Like half the top 10 players are in their 40s.
Yeah.
Whereas on the women's side, none of them are, right? But
Yeah.
like, imagine if, I don't know, Misty May was still around, Carrie, if
Yeah.
Carrie was there, if there was like 4 or 5 of those legends that were, Kessie, and they're all still playing at like close
Right.
to their best,
Yeah.
like that would be insane.
It would
But
that
that's somehow what we have on the men's side.
right. It's crazy. And Hayden is still playing good ball. You played them all 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, that was fun for me, like to play Hayden.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new, because I know how he talks to his partners. I know how he goes about the match, and there's
Right.
a lot of like every play is like, okay, try to do this, that. All right, I'm gonna do this, you do that, because he like brings you over as a blocker.
Right.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the line early. I'm gonna show, I'm gonna fake and go. And then as a blocker, you have to be like, okay, so I need to do the opposite of that and bait him to do that. So I'm like thinking like, all right, Jeremy's trying to figure out what Hayden wants him to do, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell Hayden's doing.
Yeah.
So it was fun for me to like, okay, don't play your game because Hayden knows your game really well.
Right.
He knows you want to force that cut, and if we run a 4, he can get me on the high line.
Yeah.
So I was like mixing it up, and it was fun to play the chess match with that guy.
Yeah. I know. I mean, so you guys lost to Jake and Taylor and Phil Nick 2 weeks in a row, but you also beat Hayden and Jeremy 2 weeks in a row. Like, I think it's such a weird dynamic going. Well, all right. So the first 2 weeks you beat him. So going into the third week, like I always get a little nervous when I play a team that I keep beating, but get a little closer every time. I'm like, it's going to happen at some point. Like, do you like try to change up something when you're playing the same team for the third week in a row that you guys like, not that you barely beat, but they were good matches.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it gets scarier each time, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's hard to beat a team once, but it's even harder to beat them twice, and even harder to beat them 3 times. And but we just had like this sense of urgency all week. No matter who we were playing, we were coming in fired up.
Yeah.
And it worked against all the, teams ranked 3 and below, where we just kind of out energied them and played our game really steady and consistently. But then against the top teams, we realized after the second week, like we needed to change a little something. You have to play a little differently against guys like that.
Yeah.
But against Hayden, yeah, it's scary. You're like, I feel like everything's going against me this match. Like
Yeah.
like the world wants me to lose this third one.
Right.
But that's when you just gotta like focus even more. And I think a lot of people get sucked into the whole like, oh, we beat them twice before. This one's gonna be like we're gonna beat them again.
Right.
When in reality, I like to go the other way. Like
Right.
this is
I,
even
it
bigger now.
just gets harder and harder. Yeah.
Exactly.
But then, I mean, you guys also had the flip side of that, where you had lost to Jake and Phil, and you had lost to Nick and Phil, and Jake and Taylor 2 weeks in a row, which is another interesting mental trick that you have to do. Like, all right, well, we lost him 2 times in a row. Like, what do we have to do to beat these guys?
Yeah, well, that was a little bit more of like the what do we have to lose kind of
Sure.
thing. And then also we made little adjustments. And when we played them the second time, we kind of had them in the second set and let it go at the end. So I think we came into the off week thinking like, okay, we found it. We had it at one point. We know kind of the way we got to play. We just have to maintain it and make sure that when we get towards the end of the match that we close out opportunities. And so we kind of focused on that. We talked with our sports psych about those moments too, which is nice to have had those conversations beforehand. And then we get to that point, 14 all, like, all right, let's pay attention to detail.
Right.
Focus one point at a time and just a little bit more focus here, a little bit more direct talk about like whatever it is, like just a small thing, just tell me and I'll agree. And then that'll help us to be like a little more specific, a little less hesitant in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just making small adjustments. And then, I mean, I felt good against Jake and Taylor. Like we feel like it's always anyone's game, but they kind of like Jake tends to get blocks at the end of the match. And, he changes up his game, I think, towards the end, which I think all the veterans do. They know when to call things. They've been saving plays towards the end, like all good veterans do. So you just got to like step your game up a little bit and know that that's coming, and you got to kind of return it. And it worked.
Right. It worked pretty well. I mean, you guys had such an interesting Sunday, the last one, because you started out the first set against Cayman Chase, I think was probably maybe the worst set that you guys played the entire series.
You can say me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the worst set that you had played the entire series. Like when that happens on a Sunday, and Cayman Chase, like it's not like they're a bad team. Like they're phenomenal volleyball players. Like they're really good.
Really good.
What does that look like for you sitting in the box with Trevor and Jose? Like, because sometimes like if I lose 21-12 and I know it's all on me and I know that all the service pressure is coming right back to me, it's like a mini mental crisis sometimes. It's like, oh God, I got to figure this out fast.
It's insane. It's like the craziest mental game ever.
Yeah.
And it all has to happen in the moment. Like you're like, I have to figure this out mentally. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answer is, but I know I have to flip it. And I have like 30 seconds in this timeout to like flip my brain, to where it needs to be. And I think you just kind of go through different things. Like you try different things. The first set I was trying things like that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. Just to like get yourself in that rhythm and to like feel it.
Right.
And for me, it was like, I kind of like took offense to them serving me and like thinking that they can beat us by serving me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of like came out of the second set with that, like, it's all on you. Like I tried to bring it all to me. And that kind of like brought my vision like this, like, shoop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also, they were kind of chipping a little bit. Like Cam was having fun with it. And he was like relaxed and like, I mean, everything was going their way. So he felt comfortable to start talking a little bit. And I was like, do I want to talk with Kame? Like, is he a guy that I want to talk with or not? You know,
Yeah.
there's guys that will play better if I talk back. And I was like, I'll join this conversation with Kame. For sure. He's usually not talking to me.
Right.
And I was like, I can't play worse than the last set. So it's not like I'm going to play worse if I start talking.
Yeah.
And he was playing perfectly. And now he's starting to talk. So I started conversations with him. And I already know that Chase puts so much pressure on his partners. So for a guy that's, only been on tour for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of went at it like that. Like, I took offense to it, and then I started kind of talking a little bit, like kind of back to my, like, how I grew up playing, where you just talk and have fun with it.
Right.
And it kind of flipped the switch for me. I started going a little more off speed. I was in the first set, I was in that kind of mode where I'm coming in hard, and it's really, I'm kind of telegraphing stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of just trusted my off speed. Like, even if I didn't see Kame, I was like, no, I'm just going to hit a good shot. And they started dropping. And then from there, once I felt it, I was like, okay, now we're just battling.
Yeah.
Now it's just a battle to the third set.
Yeah.
And then I kind of knew that if we played our game and just played our brand of volleyball, that we would beat them out, like,
right.
I just believe that we're that much better. So if we can just do our game, then it'll end up in our favor. It did.
Yeah.
But it woke me up. That first set was like the ultimate challenge of, like, pulling yourself out of that. Like, you're about to throw this whole tournament away. You have the perfect draw, exactly what you wanted to get through to the final. And then plus also the Porsche, the Champions Cup bonus was on the line with that match.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, because the winner, if we win, we guarantee ourselves the bronze.
Yeah.
And if they win, then I think they would have had to maybe win the final, but they could have got that extra 10 grand bonus.
Yeah.
Which we ended up getting, but we actually tied for second. The AVP's not putting that out there. They're just showing
really?
up front. We tied for second, and so we're tied with Jake and Taylor for the Champs Cup.
Yeah.
And we have a cup. They don't have a cup. But that's not the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker, according to the rules, is the head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
So
I bet Jake and Taylor like, no, head-to-head.
Dude, I mean, as a fan from the outside, now in hindsight, like, I didn't think it was a problem before, when I first read it, before the tournament started. But now I'm like, if we got a cup, we should get that. If you want a tournament and you're tied. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't that much different.
Right. Still, dude, what a big Sunday. I mean, not only just like personally, but financially, big Sunday for you guys.
Oh, dude.
It's like a lot of prize money plus the Champions Cup.
Dude. Yeah, no, honestly, I'm so grateful for it. It feels amazing. We made great money over basically it was really only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, this year could have been really brutal, in terms of, like, just not making anything. And luckily Donald put that out there and gave us the opportunity, and we capitalized on it. So
yeah,
I'm super happy about it. I'm like, it's crazy to me how great of a sponsorship team that I've been able to put together, like, just over the years, like, creating good relationships. And now, like, all of a sudden I have, like, this 5 sponsors that are, like, my dream sponsors. And you also get some bonuses for winning events. So yeah, it all came together really nicely. But it was a lot of work, but it's all worth it when it comes together like this.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm curious about, like, when you had the autoimmune disease and you were out and couldn't play, like, was there ever a point where you're like, I might not ever win an AVP again?
Yeah, for sure. I had to have that conversation. Well, I had to have the conversation of, like, I might not play.
Right.
Because realistic, like, I mean, I don't want to downplay it, but like my nurse tells me about her other patients that she sees before me, after me, whatever. She's upstairs right now, and like they've had this for like 20 years, and they're still feeling like the effects and symptoms, and or longer, like their whole life, where they still feel the symptoms and like have down times. So I was like, is that me, or what's how long is this thing gonna last? Like some people it just lasts forever.
Right.
um so I had to have that conversation at one point, but I never really like bought into it. It wasn't, I was always like, nah, there's no way. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You always have like that positive outlook. But yeah, it kind of depressed me to think about it like that. Like 3 AVPs, it's significant. Like I got multiple, like that's
Right.
something to hang my hat on for sure. But like I did that in my early 20s, and like I had like my whole prime left. I want to get like into like creep up on the 20s and
Right.
stuff. So I'm on like that list for a long time. um but yeah, I mean, when before the match I was kind of thinking about it, and during the national anthem, like just reminiscing a little bit, and that was like pretty like crazy moment, thinking back on how far it's how long that journey was. um but yeah, I don't know, it didn't feel like there was that much pressure on it either. I was like, after how far I've come with all this stuff, like
Right.
I'm here, like I'm just gonna go have fun with it. I'm gonna go ball.
Yeah.
And I actually was walking up to the stadium for the final, and I passed by Fiapo, and he was like got all like intense on me, like, hey, go enjoy this moment, go have fun, just like real quick on the way over. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go have fun out there.
Yeah.
I like that. um yeah, I don't know, it's crazy. It's kind of a blur too. Like I want to watch it all back, because
Right.
I'm like one of those guys, like I've said before, where I just like forget the last moment. It just like disappears.
Yeah.
So like I don't even know what happened if we run it back.
Right.
I remember the few points that I've been talking about here are the ones where I've seen replays like on Instagram. Else I
Right.
wouldn't have remembered them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that it seemed like that gratitude was sort of the theme of the last 3 weeks for the AVP, that all the players were
Yeah.
obviously still competitive, but
Yeah.
everyone's like Instagram captions are just conversations. We're just like, we're just so grateful to
Yeah.
be playing this sport. Did the fact that having the season, the prospect of it potentially being taken away, did that take some of the tension off of winning? And you were like, you know what, like we have a pretty cool job, like win or
Yeah.
not, like this is a pretty great life. Not that you wouldn't have wanted to win any less, but I feel like maybe that eased it up just a little. That was like, we're
Yeah.
stoked to be here.
I wanted to buy into that, and I like totally acknowledge that, and I
Yeah.
think everyone else was too. But I didn't. I don't know. That when you're going for it like fully, I feel like you just can't fully buy into like, oh, just have fun, and it doesn't
Right.
matter if you win or lose. Like there was like maybe a 1% of that like took the ease off, and then for me it was like having the baby and Gabby and being healthy was like another 2 or 3% it took off. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't live if I know that I didn't
Right.
put everything in it, and I didn't feel that pressure. Like I don't want to feel stressed, but you gotta feel that pressure, or else you don't feel like you're going all in on it.
Yeah.
But I think definitely that was like the vibe, before and after matches, and like with all the other players for sure. And it's true, like everyone's so grateful all the way through the qualifier too. Like those players who probably had to question whether or not they wanted to, and you could probably speak on this, like whether or not they wanted to continue to play. And then you
Right.
have Donald Sun come out, and he's like, here's a little stimulus check.
Yeah.
I want to keep you guys afloat,
Right.
and give you opportunity to earn more. But I mean, you get $3,000 for getting last in the qualifier.
Yeah.
You only get $8,000 for getting third place.
Right.
You know,
Pretty
so
good.
yeah, it was pretty good.
But yeah, I know that for the qualifier types, so I think I was maybe 5th on the reserve list before they cut it down to only 4 teams. Like, damn it, last one. But not that it would have mattered because no one dropped out except for who needed it. What Kalinsky picked up Burek.
Yeah, Rosie tours,
which
I
that
think that's
sucks.
public, right?
Yeah, that sucks. And hopefully Rosie can get the surgery he needs. I know that's not a cheap one.
Yeah, Rosie's going through a tough time right now with just that transition of like, because he knows. I mean, that guy will play until he's 90 years old if he can. You know, he loves it that much, and he's here on the sidelines while guys his age or older are still playing and succeeding. So I know it's really tough on him to watch right now, and then to have that injury, like, it's rough. But yeah, he'll get through it.
Yeah, but I know for like a lot of the qualifier types of the ones who just made the cut, like say the Miles Partains, it was such a boost for them to know that, hey, like, we still have a season, we can still do this. All the work I've been putting in.
Yeah.
Now I pretty much, no matter if I could lose 21-10, 21-11 3 weeks in a row and still make like $9,000 or split 9.
Yeah. It's like a weird balance though, right? Like to think that way, but then to not take your foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
Not to just show up and be like, okay, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But to be like grateful and being like, no, like, I'll be okay either way. Like, I'll be.
And I know that definitely I think it was easy to see who got inspired by it.
Yeah.
You know, Miles Partain, I think, played some of the best volleyball of anyone over the weekend. I don't think anyone expected him and Loomis to win a set, let alone qualify. Right. I think Skylar Del Sol took full advantage. I think him and Ed played awesome that first week. They had a little trouble in the next 2, but it was cool to see the guys where they were like, all right, like, this is my shot. And they took advantage. It's been interesting to see the effect that it's had on the guys who didn't make the cut. Dude, where
if you would have told me that like Baumgren and Troy wouldn't even play in the main draw, Reed wouldn't make a main draw, like some of these teams, I'm like, wow, this is like cutthroat, and you know, obviously really tough probably for those guys to deal with that, because those are teams where they come out of the qualifier, like, you're not surprised if they're in the semis kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, I think that it was cool to see Miles Evans really establish himself, playing with a guy who they can't speak the same language. They'd never played together before. And Miles got it done. I was pretty happy for Billy and Stafford for qualifying in 2 of the 3, because they've had like such a up and down off season.
They easily could have been in that semifinal too on Sunday.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We were watching that, and I just kept going back and forth. Like, I think they got the momentum here. And then Stafford with the overpass.
I had thought about texting him and being like, Stafford, this is why we set the first ball. We don't use our platform.
Don't worry, Trevor was on him right away.
I bet he was.
Trevor's ruthless. Like, right after the match, he won't even ease up.
Yeah. I felt bad for Staff, but at the same time, I thought him and Billy played pretty well throughout the weekend.
Yeah,
I was pretty happy for them.
For sure.
But for the guys who didn't make the cut, so like all of my like qualifier, like low level main draw buds, like a lot of people just like shut it down and like kind of gave up training. Yeah. They were like, all right, well, I guess we'll just wait 6 months till next year. And then a lot of people took the other way. It's like, all right, well, everyone else is sitting out. Like, I think like Tracy Callahan, she's already practicing again. I think it was pretty clear that her and Chrissy put some work in over the off season. For sure. It was cool for me to watch the people who I know who have put in a ton of work and watch that work like come to fruition right there. Cause like Miles Partain never stopped playing. Tracy and Chrissy never stopped playing. Mm-hmm. I thought Delaney and Katie played really well and they trained a ton. So it was cool to see like who's been working and who's going to continue to kind of rise up.
Yeah, and you kind of get to see that. Like I'm kind of on an island with my
Right.
around Jose's court, you know. So
Yeah.
you jump around, you get to see all the teams.
Yeah.
You feel like honestly, there's like a direct correlation between like people who are out there and who weren't, and the way that the finishes played out. Because remember we talked about it before, like we said, you're gonna see right here when you see the end results of this tournament, you're gonna see who's been working.
Yeah.
I feel like it played out just like how we said it would. Like,
Yeah. I think so for the most part. I mean, some guys, like, how many touches do Phil and Nick really need at this point?
right.
I
Yeah.
think you could
But
tell
they're
that they
hitting
were
the
as
weight
healthy.
room. They're hitting the weight room
Oh,
harder
yeah.
than ever. Dude, Nick hits the weight room during the tournament. I'm like, you lift today? I saw him Sunday after. They're staying at that mansion.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, got my workout in this morning. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, just activation. Dude,
Yeah.
he's carrying a dumbbell or a kettlebell onto the court with him. He brings it with him to the warm-up, like onto the sand. Because I mean, honestly, he's good friends with Hayden. I think over the years he's seen Hayden and Jake and how they maintain themselves with, like, if you don't stop, your body doesn't go backwards at all.
Right.
When you're at that age and you do stop, it goes back. And he was in such good shape, jumping
Yeah.
so high. I think Phil's fully bought into that as well. That's why he's
Yeah.
in such great shape. That's where those guys put the work in. They know on the sand that, like, how many reps they need.
Right.
But the weight room work is where those guys kind of like separate themselves.
Yeah. So I think that there was a pretty direct correlation to who was putting in the work that they needed to over the off season when it was a little bit uncertain, and who was just kind of, it's quarantine. Let's watch some Netflix.
Use it as an excuse.
Yeah. So I think if anything that people can probably take some inspiration from that and be like, all right, well, when the opportunity comes next to play, it's best to be prepared rather than just kind of like only getting ready after you hear the news of things coming out.
Yeah. It's about the real success is about the work that you put in when the lights aren't on.
Right. Because everyone always says, like my brothers joked, they came out to like P1440 Huntington like 2 years ago. And I think me and Miles, Magutu Tia, my guy, we got fifth. And so it was like maybe a $5,000 or $6,000 split. And my little brother was like, you made that in a weekend? I was like, I mean, not really. Like, there's a lot of hours put into that fifth.
You split that up between the month or two before, and how much did I make per day?
Right. It's like, if you make that an hourly rate, it's probably pretty low.
Exactly. Well, if we had a tournament every week, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Our bodies would fall apart, but
yeah. How was it playing back to back to back weekends? I know you mentioned that like your back was starting to feel it a little bit, but I mean, I know you traveled a ton on the FIVB last year, but
oh man, it was so much easier.
Yeah.
Like sleeping at home, having breakfast at home, and then driving down 20 minutes.
Right.
And then there's like no fans there, which, we love that morning energy, like saying hi to fans and stuff, but like it's so much quicker. I can get there hour 15, hour 20 before my match and know that I can go straight to the training table for 20, 25 minutes and then go straight to my bag, do my routine, and I'm just right on the sand. Whereas like if you're at an AVP, you're gonna stop on the way down, talk to people, might get interviewed. You got to leave extra time, and it's really easy to get distracted. You got to have the headphones in and like hat down. But this one was like, I mean, the other players were even separated from you, so it was like so easy.
I think that all that contributed. The lack of travel, and the lack of just other distractions contributed to such a high level of play. Because I think you guys are always you, Phil and Nick, Jake and Taylor, Billy and Stafford, and I guess maybe Cam and Chase soon. Like you're always so beat up from traveling, and like you never know what time of day it is because you don't know what hour you're on. And I think that the fact that you guys got to stay at home 3 weeks in a row and you only had to play 2-day tournaments, limited matches, I think that helped like the product and the level of play a ton.
For sure. I mean, this honestly is a preview of what would happen if we took the world tour out.
Yeah.
you know, like we'd all be here. You'd get battles like this. Obviously, like there'd be other teams mixed in, but I guess this is what I've kind of been battling in my head over the last few years or my whole career. Because I looked at the list. Okay, so I played 3 tournaments this year, right?
Right.
That's the same that I've played for the last 4 or 5 seasons.
I know.
Like my whole career, I've you know, my first year I think I played in all of them, and then I played in like 4 one year. Other than that, it was like 3 or 2 or
Yeah.
none. And I mean, that's how I've always felt. It's like I haven't even been on the tour. Like I haven't gotten to prove myself. And like even now, I'm gonna go back next season, and I'm gonna be ranked like 40th on the
Right.
tour, right? Because none of these points are worth it.
Right.
And I would love it if our tour just had, we're all home, we're all level playing field. Like obviously the travel is what it is. We sign up for it when we go on the world tour, but I think it'd be really cool to, even if they ran another series like this, we had 6 events this season.
Yeah.
And everyone was here. There's no asterisks on those, you know. I feel like
Oh yeah.
a lot of the tournaments during the normal year, we always, you know, under our breath, we're always joking like, "Oh, San Francisco, yeah, sick. San Francisco, yeah." Or like Hermosa, all the Olympic teams were in Tokyo at a prep event,
Right.
and then someone's winning who may not have won otherwise, and
Right.
we just don't have that right now. So it's
Yeah.
like, it is what it is. The results that you see, there's no complaining, no anything. We did have, you know, we had Rosie get hurt, but other than that, the results actually show like the landscape of our sport. Whereas a lot of other times it's hard to really figure that out.
Yeah. It would be so cool if they were able to do this another one, maybe with a little bit bigger of a field. Looked
Well, they
fun to play.
loved it, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to a few people behind the scenes, and they were like, this is great for us. Like, the AVP staff I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Because it's cheaper to run. It's, the viewership was higher than ever. Sponsors love it because, I mean, they get, I think the advertising is more valuable on the TV screen than it is in person.
I think so too, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're talking like making it sound like they'd rather do this than throw regular events, and not like they know that you want fans in the seats
Right.
for sure, but to know that this is an option to like throw one of these in or like create like a little mini winter series every
Yeah.
year like this, it would be amazing.
Be awesome. I
Yeah.
think a lot of good came out of this series. I think it's just like a different way of doing things. People getting creative. You got your win. We got an upgrade to the studio in there.
Exactly. No, it was great. I think what it did was like made the AVP go outside the box. Or all the tours are having the King of the Court's creating like box seats. There's no stands, but they're gonna have like 450 people present that are paying for these sky boxes.
Really?
But we're gonna be playing in like this gladiator dome where there's no like gradual stands going up. Everyone's just stacked on top of each other looking down
That's
from their like
awesome.
balconies. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I think, you know, AVP now knows that this is possible. So going forward, they can throw these, and they're like kind of quicker and easier to put on. Less hoops to jump through besides the health stuff. I think it'd be a cool opportunity for AVP to say, okay, we're going to do another series, but we're going to test out another format. Like, let's throw in a college format where we go East versus West, or, you know, mix it up somehow. Maybe do a draft. Like,
Ooh,
have
that would be
2 team
sick.
captains.
Get like some captains.
Yeah.
Man, dude, that would be so cool.
April and Phil, let's say, since they've been the top players,
Yeah.
and they draft their teams.
That would be awesome.
Oh, I'm texting Donald right now.
It's fired up.
Right? That would be really fun. And then you'd see different player dynamics as well. I'd say King of the Court, but I don't think during these times it's makes sense to like have the players mix teams. It's
Right.
in terms of like, you know, the CDC or whoever they have to get permits from.
Right.
one of the benefits of our sport is that we have small teams and the two guys stick together.
Right.
But dude, we could have fun with it for sure.
We could. Maybe once all this mess is over and we get back to kind of normal-ish playing, that could be an idea.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Well, dude, I know you're getting up to Northern California to celebrate and enjoy with the fam. And then
going back to the mountains.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I'm sitting here with my view of some green trees. Gonna take Delaney out, buy some cornfields and farms.
What a guy.
Both going back to our natural element.
Yeah. Show her the cornfield, maybe a few cows. I got some green trees.
That's it. Might go jump off a couple bridges. Who knows what we're doing around here?
Into water.
Into water.
Sounds funny.
Yeah, but dude, congrats! I'm freaking stoked for you. It was super stressful watching you guys at 12-12 in the third quarter. I'm glad you pulled it out.
I'm sure, for sure. Yeah, man. Thank you. And it's a team win for the SANDCAST here, bro.
It is. It's a big win. A good win for volleyball for milkshakes. I mean, if you wrote this book on how to get good at volleyball, and then you win. So, guys, if you wanted to learn how to get good at volleyball, try Wrote Volleyball for Milkshakes.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, dude, it's crazy. Like, if I learn anything here, it's like that all those small things have added up. I actually had a coach, Dave Shoji, text me after, like, congratulating me. I was like, thanks, Dave. And I was like, dude, he taught me so much when I was younger. Like, I don't even know if I'd be here if it wasn't for guys like him.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's Eric and Kavika's dad.
Right.
It wasn't like just this volleyball coach. He was my baseball coach when I was in Little League as well. So yeah, those lessons are totally going through. And I mean, I'm out there on the court playing Taylor and Jake, and we're like heckling each other about milkshakes. Like, I hit a ball angle that Taylor had no business not digging.
Right.
And I was like, that's vanilla. He's like, that's not even vanilla.
That's
like,
great.
Today we're playing for shakes, Bug. He's like, let's go.
I love it.
And chip, bro, you know my flavor.
Extra thick.
And then Trevor stuffed Taylor. I was like, Trevor, what flavor do you want?
That's awesome. I love it.
About it. It was cool.
Yeah. Well, dude, have fun with the fam. Give the pod mama and the honey girl my best. And I'll be seeing you soon when I get back to California.
Yeah, say hi to the fam and wifey and enjoy those cornfields. One day I got to get out there. I want some crab.
Whenever you're ready, invite's open.
Oh, sounds amazing.
All right, brother. Shoots.
All right, guys. Peace. Shoots.